Hi, everybody. This is Tommy Lasorda. Listen to the Sandlot, the best thing that could happen to you.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Are you crying?
It's a part of our past, Ray.
There's no crying.
It reminds us of all that once was good.
There's no crying in baseball.
Just a bit outside.
Baseball will be very, very good to me.
It's a simple game. You throw the ball, you hit the ball, you catch the ball.
Personally, I think we got hosed on that.
The Sandlot Radio Network is on the air. And now, starting pitcher for the Sandlot, former pro player and Major League scout, Ted Howard.
This is National League All-Star Justin Upton.
Hi, this is Shane Victorino.
Hi, this is Albert Pujols.
Hi, this is David Wright.
Derek Jeter, New York Yankees, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
Welcome to The Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. It's a place of our own. It's our field. It's our neighborhood. It's our team. It's our home. The Sandlot is presented by the Kinetic Arm, protecting young athletes one arm at a time. The Sandlot is also sponsored by Slide MVP, Camp Trove, Max Graphics LA, Tool Shed, South Bay Credit Union, Fairway Underwriters, and Pro Slide. The Sandlot can be heard live here on Fox Sports 1590 KVTA, also streamed live on kvta.com. Replays of all Sandlot radio shows are published on all the major platforms for podcasts, including Sirius XM MLB Network Radio, Spotify, SoundCloud, Simplecast, Apple Music, Pandora, and YouTube. Also, check out Sandlot Radio Show on Instagram and Sandlot Radio Network on Facebook for video content with the Major League players. Please explore SandlotRadioNetwork.com for historical reels and images along with links to our outstanding partners. Last week on the Sandlot, we had the second half of the head of a great American baseball family, the Penders. We had Chris Pender, plus Dodgers surprise star left-handed pitcher Justin Wrubleski. This week's Sandlot features former Major League player, now media guru. You can catch this guy as the color man on Rockies TV and on Apple TV Friday Night Baseball. He's also has his own show 5 days a week on MLB Network Sirius XM Radio. It's called Loud Outs, and it airs from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm proud to have him as a regular guest host in our Who's Hot, Who's Not segment. We have Ryan Spilborgs. We also have a former MLB pitcher who is one of only 40 Australians to make it all the way to the big leagues. He is now the 5-star national pitching coordinator and head recruiter for the 5-star 17U Mafia team and the head of the Jupiter rosters in the fall for 5-star. And he's the owner of the Gold Shore Colligate League. He's Damian Moss. We also have the creator and founder of the Kinetic Arm, a must-have product for any throwing athlete. We have Jason Colleran. We're going to start you off with our special guest host, Ryan Spilborgs, for Who's Hot and Who's Not in MLB. Spilly, we got a decent sample size now that the season's over a month in, and the American League East, we always start out with those guys. And how about the Rays at 9-1 in their last 10? Yankees only at 5-5. They're 2 behind the Rays already. Orioles 19-24, and then Blue Jays 18-24, and Red Sox 17-24, and they cleaned house early. What do you think of this division?
Yeah, this division is strange for me because I thought, at the start of the year that this entire division would be over 500 and, maybe be over 500 for each team, like way deep into the season. And that's not been the case. That's been the National League Central that's been over 500. This division, when you look at the Tampa Bay Rays, the thing that stands out is they are shoving when it comes to their pitching staff. Like their starters have been shoving. For people that maybe don't know who Drew Rasmussen is, he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball the last couple of years. He's got a great fastball. Nick Martinez, who was signed this offseason, has been incredible for them. And then the return of Shane McClanahan, who McClanahan started an all-star game 3 years ago. So, they have really good pitching. And then they're interesting from an offensive perspective. They're like a ball-and-play team. They're really fast. If you watch Chandler Simpson play, he's been really fun. He kind of reminds me of like a Willie McGee type player. Kind of puts the ball in play, steals a bag, puts so much pressure on the defense. They're just good. You couldn't name the lineup of the Tampa Bay Rays and get everybody right. You probably couldn't even name 4 Tampa Bay Rays hitters, and that's how they like it. So at the end of the day, I think the Rays, do they hold this position? Probably not. I'm still waiting for the Blue Jays to get healthy. The Yankees can pitch. It's just the rest of the lineup outside of Ben Rice and Aaron Judge that they got to figure out. So this division's fun. I like this division a lot just because there's good players, but they're not playing well. So you got a bunch of teams that have not played to their potential yet. And a lot of it just has to do with injuries. So I could see the Blue Jays going on a run. I could see the Red Sox going on a run. I could see the Orioles going on a run and possibly running down the Rays at some point. But like you said earlier, it's still way too early in the season to have a good idea of where these teams are going to finish.
And the Red Sox, they got off to such a bad start that they made some decisions and they cleaned house. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I didn't love it, but at the same time, I mean, if you have an organization with a level of expectations and, with Craig Breslow, he didn't hire Alex Cora. And if there was any sort of butting of heads or whatever happened there, you can understand why Breslow would make that move. The players didn't love it, but they are playing, better, I guess, under Chad Tracy. I played for his dad when he was the manager of the Rockies. So he's got managerial skills in his blood. But I mean, look, when it comes to the Red Sox, I thought they were going to be better than what they were with some of the trades that they've made. They've been inconsistent and their defense has been terrible. So that's a really bad combination, is when you're just not consistently making plays, even though some of the defensive metrics says otherwise. If you watch some of the games, it's the miscues that lead to big innings for them.
Let's jump over to the Central, Spilly, and where the Guardians are 23-21, but only 5-5 in their last 10. And surprisingly, the White Sox are just a game and a half out, 20-21, and 6-4 in their last 10. Twins 19-23, Royals 19-23, Tigers all identical records at 19-23. And for the Tigers, Mr. Scooble's out, so that's tough.
Well, they're hoping to get School back sooner, just because he had loose bodies in his elbow, and they felt like they can clean him up pretty quick. So it wasn't as bad as originally anticipated. So we'll see how long it'll take to get School back. But overall, this division right now, it feels like the Guardians are in a really good position. They have some really fun young players. Travis Bazzana, kid from Australia, that you know very well. Chase DeLauder looks like a stud. They also have this kid, Parker Messick, who has an unbelievable changeup to go along with Gavin Williams, and the back end of their bullpen's really good. So, but yeah, I mean, look, the Tigers were the favorite coming into the season. It has not been easy for them. They've had a lot of injuries, so we'll see if they can tread water long enough. But I think the Royals and Guardians right now look much better than than maybe the math shows. And then the White Sox, if you've watched White Sox baseball, you love how gritty they are. They're really fun. Like Sam Antonacci, who I saw during the WBC, is just like a really fun player. Reminds me a little bit of like a Lenny Dykstra. And then you have Murakami, who's come over and for the money. I mean, like, Murakami's on pace to hit 60 plus homers. That is a great sign for the White Sox. And then you just have some good stories. You got some really good stories there for the White Sox. It's good to see them being relevant again.
Over in the American League West, the Athletics 21-20, but only 4-6 in their last 10. Mariners, who were so good last year, 21-22. Rangers 20-22. Angels doing what they always do, 16-27. And I don't know about the Astros at the bottom there at 16-27 and 4-6 in their last 10. But the Athletics, man, they got some guys, and I like that team. What sucks about them is they end up dumping guys when they get really good.
I don't think they have to, just because they've signed players to long-term deals. I mean, that's the thing, is they've been able to sign, a couple of your core talented pieces to long-term deals. So like Jacob Wilson signed for a long time, Tyler Soderstrom signed for a long time, Lawrence Butler signed for a long time, Brett Rooker, Nick Kurtz, and you don't have to worry about it because there's still 5 more years of control with the A's. So, yeah, I mean, like, I hear what you're saying, but they don't have to, because they're signing some of their young players right now. The problem that the A's had is Jacob Wilson just got hurt the other day diving for a baseball in Baltimore, and his shoulder got messed up. So they ended up calling up some young prospect the other day that, maybe will have some impact on the team. But the Astros have just been a disaster with their pitching staff. They've had so many injuries. Yeah, I mean, like, I think the A's can hang on in this division? Maybe, but I don't know. This is the one that's it's almost like the American League Central. Like, there's just so many teams that could get hot, but you're not quite sure which one it's going to be.
Let's talk about the National League. And in the East, we got the Braves who've been playing really well, 7-3 in their last 10. And they're 16-7 on the road, which is unreal. And then the Phillies, 20-22, Nationals, 20-22, Marlins, 19-23. And man, the Mets, I don't even know what to say about that at 16-25.
Yeah, Mets are not a good team. That's what you can say about the Mets. They're not good. It's a flawed roster. It's gonna be a long year for the Mets. I mean, they just don't have anything going. They're gonna be without Lindor for a while. Yeah, they are not having a good year. It was fun seeing AJ Ewing, who made his debut yesterday. It was kind of an interesting kid. Stole a lot of bags in the minor leagues, and they're hoping maybe he can help spark them. We'll see. It's really hard for one player to spark an entire team. So I'm at a point with the Mets where I think it's a lost season, but it's still super early. But I don't see the signs like I see with Philadelphia. Philadelphia is pitching really well. Wheeler's been pitching great. Christopher Sanchez has turned into an ace. You got Schwarber and Harper. Bohm's starting to hit again. So, the Phillies should be in a much better position by the end of the year than they currently are. I love the Braves. That's the best team in baseball. Best record in baseball, best run differential in baseball. They're pitching better than everybody else. They're scoring runs, and they're doing it without Ronald Acuna, who's been out. So Braves are the class of pretty much the entire National League and maybe baseball right now, just with how they're playing. So I don't see the Braves losing steam. The Marlins are interesting just because they're a really fun young group, and I think they have a chance to be above 500 over the course of the year. So they're not a below 500 team for me just because of how they pitch.
And how about the Cubbies in the Central? And one thing about the Braves, I know you're saying the Phillies are playing real well, but they're 9 out already, Billy, because the Braves are playing so well. And then with the Cubbies, they've had some really good runs. Like they're 7-3 in their last 10, but they've had a 10-game win streak. They're 18-5 at home, which you expect at Wrigley. But they're 2.5 in front of the Brewers. They're still playing really well at 23-16. And Cardinals 24-17. Pirates, wow, I love to see them win, and they got the pitching they should. And then the Reds, that is a division that is all above 500, and that's cool to see.
Yeah, it's fun. I like the Reds a lot because they can pitch and just wait for them to get Hunter Green. I mean, like the combination Hunter Green and Chase Burns down the stretch will be insane. They just got to be more consistent as an offensive team and defensively. Pirates are fun. I'm in Pittsburgh right now. This pitching staff is just crazy, crazy good, and they're finally scoring runs. So, they basically added a run and a half better than what they were last year. Like the Pirates are actually a top 5 offensive unit this year, which if you look at some of the numbers, you'd be like, wait, what? And I was like, yep. Cubs are really good. They don't have the same front-end starting pitching that the Pirates or the Reds do, but they can hit. I mean, they can hit top to bottom. They can hit when they're right. They don't lose at Wrigley. They've been okay. Right now they're matched up against the Braves, and the Braves beat them up yesterday. And so I love the National League Central because you can't sleep on the Brewers. Pat Murphy always has their team just kind of similar to the Rays. I mean, they're going to beat you with players you don't even know.
National League West, always a fun division. Right now, the Dodgers are not playing well, 4-6 in their last 10, so they're a half game behind the Padres, who haven't really done well either in their last 10, 5-5. D-backs 4-6 in their last 10, Giants 5-5, and the Rockies 2-8, 8.5 behind in the very bottom of the barrel there. But Padres have just played well enough to hang with the Dodgers. And, Dodgers have some injuries, and that's not the team you're going to see all season. That's for sure.
No, and Tony's not swinging the bat well. He did have a good night last night. This is a really good team. The Dodgers are really good. The Padres, it's weird though. I mean, with the Padres leading the division with Fernando Tatis doesn't even have a homer this season. That's wild. That that's going to change. So you're hoping that the Padres. I mean, it's always really fun when you get the Padres and Dodgers doing their thing because there's like a true rivalry between those two organizations. Giants have been a complete disaster just from everything that's been going on in San Francisco since last year. It'd be nice if they start playing better, if their leverage players start playing, Willie Adames and Matt Chapman. But overall, I think the Giants this season is going to be really interesting to watch unfold. The Rockies are more competitive, but they have a ways to go. And then Diamondbacks. I love the Diamondbacks always because they're fundamentally sound. They can pitch. The Mike Soroka pitching this year has been great. If you know his stories from Canada, and he had 2 terrible ACL Achilles injuries. So he's healthy, and that's awesome to see. But yeah, National League West, it's still run by the Dodgers until another team can take them out. And I just don't see another team taking out the Dodgers.
He's a former Major League player, now media guru with Rockies TV. You can also check him on Friday nights, Apple TV, and every single day, Monday through Friday on MLB Network Radio on Sirius XM. Loud Outs, 2 to 5. It's not a podcast. It's a radio show. So, hey, Spilly, thanks for being a guest host again on the Sandlot. I got to have a shout out of a friend of mine, Andy Tomberlin, says hello. He listens to your show every day. You don't know him, but you need to look him up because he's a longtime big leaguer and his coach and everything. But he listens to you all the time. So check him out. He could even come on and be a guest. A big shout out and a thank you to our special guest host, Ryan Spilborgs, for giving us who is hot and who is not in MLB. We are on Fox Sports Radio 1590 KVTA. We are Fox Sports. Don't go away. When we return, we have the founder and the creator of the Kinetic Arm, Jason Colleran. I'm your host, Tad Powers. The Sandlot, it's where everybody plays. The Sandlot is presented by the Kinetic Arm, trusted to protect young athletes one arm at a time. To purchase your Kinetic Arm today, go to the SandlotRadioNetwork.com website and click on our title partner, the Kinetic Arm, and start protecting your kid today.
Hi, I'm Justin Robleski, and I listen to The Sandlot.
Hi, this is Todd Helton, and I still listen to The Sandlot.
This is Ryan Braun from the Milwaukee Brewers, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
This is Nate McLeod, National League All-Star with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
This is Mike Cameron from the Milwaukee Brewers, and I'm still listening to The Sandlot.
Imagine this. Your kid throws out their arm. One bad pitch and suddenly it's surgery, months of pain, and watching from the sidelines. There's an epidemic of arm injuries in youth athletes, but it doesn't have to be that way. The Kinetic Arm is the first dynamic arm stabilizer, supporting the shoulder and elbow when they need it most. Trusted by thousands of athletes. Go to SandlotRadioNetwork.com, click Partners, Kinetic Arm, and protect your kid's arm today.
Champ Trove, where every championship becomes a treasure worth keeping. As a leading one-stop provider of custom championship rings, awards, and team packages, Champ Trove helps sports teams, clubs, and schools turn victories into lasting, high-quality memorabilia. We craft fully bespoke rings and team packages tailored to your vision, finished in just 15 days and shipped free. No rigid templates, no hidden fees, just a dedicated designer guiding you from concept to creation. Just go to champtrove.com. For every champion, forever. Champ Trove.
That sound. It happens every season. The base runner hesitates, a bad slide, a twisted ankle. The truth is, most kids are never actually taught how to slide safely. Slide MVP changes that. It's the portable sliding mat designed to teach proper feet-first technique so players build confidence before game day. No guesswork, no fear, just confidence when it counts. Train at home, train at practice, train the right way. Visit the SandlotRadioNetwork.com partners page for SlideMVP.com. Slide MVP, because one bad slide shouldn't change everything. You know, I don't say this lightly. I've been around the game a long time. There's an epidemic of arm injuries in youth athletes. Until now, nothing truly supported how the arm worked while throwing. Meet the Kinetic Arm, the first dynamic stabilizer supporting both shoulder and elbow in motion. Trusted by over 100,000 athletes. Want to protect your player? Click on SandlotRadioNetwork.com partners and order your Kinetic Arm today.
Hi, everybody. This is Rick Mundy, former Major League player, former All-Star, and now broadcaster with the Los Angeles Dodgers. You're tuned in exactly where you need to be. It's Sandlot, and it's baseball.
Talking baseball, the man and Bobby Fella, the Scooter, the Barber, and the Duke. They knew them all from Boston to Dubuque.
Especially Shohei, Mookie, and the Judge.
Welcome back to the Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. We're on Fox Sports 1590 KVTA. Also streamed live on KTVA.com. The Sandlot is presented by our trusted protector of young athletes, the Kinetic Arm. Right now, we have the creator and the founder of the Kinetic Arm, Jason Colleran, to explain how and why he invented what may prove to be one of the most important products ever to be introduced to the market for young athletes. We are with the founder of the Kinetic Arm, Jason Colleran. Thanks so much for being a guest on the Sandlot Radio Network.
Thanks for having me.
Growing up as a kid, tell me what it was that you loved about the game of baseball. What was it that made you develop passion to where you wanted to do it at a high level?
Well, growing up, in Atlanta, you've got the Atlanta Braves, and through
through the 90s. It's a hometown team, and I had two older brothers that played, and it's kind of how we bonded, and we played in the neighborhood. We'd, whether it was a tape ball, a foam ball, just different ways we could, make up different forms of home run derby, and it's always been. We moved around a lot as well, and I was sponsored to play growing up. So it meant a lot to me to have that uniform and to be part of a team, and just the incredible life lessons. But, growing up watching the Braves and seeing when they did win the World Series finally, the whole, worst to first, it was really kind of a way to, I don't know, just take your mind away from moving around or anything you were thinking about as a kid. So I just loved the competitive aspect and looked up to my brothers, and that's kind of how it started.
And the Braves during that time had the pitching staff, including who I consider to be the greatest pitcher that ever lived as a true pitcher is Greg Maddux. And it's because he figured out the art of pitching, not how to throw a baseball as hard as you could. He figured out how to manipulate pressure on seams to get movement in different directions, to change speeds and to locate. And he never threw a pitch max effort, but yet he has 355 wins in the major leagues. And he's a guy that if you asked him, I don't think he would ever say he threw a pitch as hard as he possibly could.
Yeah, it was incredible to watch. There was Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, Steve Avery. Even Pete Smith was my favorite. He did a great autograph signing, now friends with Mike Cather. So just a great group of guys and fun to watch. And going to, Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, our Little League would have a day out there, so we'd get to go watch a game. And just overall incredible watching those guys on TBS over the summertime.
And at what age did you decide, man, I want to take this a little more serious and maybe think about going to a program that I can develop and become a professional?
Well, I loved it. I loved it as a kid. And then you move around and you're on new teams and you meet new people. But like I said, we were sponsored to play growing up because we couldn't afford it. So I thought, you know what? I'm doing pretty well. I'd really like to play professionally and take care of my family someday. So that was the ultimate goal. So we know that there's good coaches. There's other coaches will say the road to injuries paved with great intentions is something that I always remind people. But I started trying to train harder than everyone I knew and play harder than everyone I knew with that dream of, someday taking care of my family and giving back and sponsoring kids to play that they can't afford it. And that's what we're getting to now with Kinetic Arm. So that makes it pretty exciting.
No doubt. And there's so many kids out there that have the talent and love and passion to play the game. But because of the way the game is structured these days, unless you're just playing your local Little League or something, it's really expensive.
Yeah, seeing the costs go up, especially with the rise of travel ball. I think starting at 7U, my arm hurt from 11 till mid 20s, and that's another one of the goals is if we can prevent this permanent musculoskeletal damage from kids at a young age and just keep them out there doing what they love, that's a big win because at the end of the day, it's a game and it should be fun for these kids. It shouldn't be beating them up and abusing them for the $2 ring.
Yeah, the $2 ring, and that's the thing about the coaching that there's egos involved with them winning rings and championships and points with USSSA that has nothing to do with the development of the kids. And if anything, it's detrimental to the development of the kids.
Yeah, I agree. It's with how it's turned into kind of chasing velocity and these metrics. There's so many things that you can't measure. Are they going to tough it out on the mound and keep battling through that inning? They're going to fold when there's pressure. So to hear that scouts sometimes just say, "Oh, well, just send me the Rapsodo," when they haven't even seen the kid. It's interesting, kind of what it's evolving into.
Yeah, and scouting's changed because of it. And we used to look at different things with a pitcher, and it had a lot to do with his head and heart. What kind of mindset did he have? Was he a gamer? Was he a battler? Did he know situational pitching? Did he have command? And those things to me were more important than velocity. And I think that Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine would have the same success they had back in the day, winning their 300 games and going into the Hall of Fame if they started their career today, because it's all about disrupting timing and getting soft contact, and they were the kings of that. And that doesn't change. They would probably even do better today because these guys strike out way more.
I agree. I think with kind of the surgical precision they had with their pitch placement and varying the speeds, if guys now are getting used to going up and seeing 100 miles an hour, and then they're seeing slower speeds with movement and a lot more variability, I mean, I think that would be a lot harder to hit, because I know when I was playing, we'd take batting practice, getting ready for guys throwing in the 90s, and then if we got to a tournament that was at the end of the week for one of the schools, and they've got some position players throwing, in the 70s, to me it was brutal to try and hit that slower speed, especially if there was movement.
Exactly. And if you look at some of the best pitchers in baseball, even today, they are guys that throw softer, and they don't get as many strikeouts, but they get soft contact. And when you got the kind of defense behind you in the big leagues, go ahead and let them hit it soft. They're out.
Yeah, I think with a lot of the analytics and kind of the intellectual de-evolution of the game that, we're seeing those changes, and it's just about, like we talked about, launch angle, spin rate, things like that. But I mean, it's not like batting averages are in the 7, 8, 900s to where you should be worrying about launch angle or things like that. You should be worried about getting a hit and getting on base.
And especially kids, because there's a lot to be said for success. And if I'm trying to lift and separate when I'm a little kid, if I hit it real well, I'm probably flying out to left field. That's not success. But a line drive up the middle or a hard ground ball that you get on base, that's success. And that's fun. So I would rather have kids have that success at a young age instead of, I can hit a ball just shy of the warning track when I really crush it. Well, guess what? You flew out and you didn't get on base. So you're not learning about base running. You're not learning about situations because you just flew out.
Yeah, that's something I always joke about and say that, when I was playing in college, I was a batting practice champion. Just you could hit the ball a mile in batting practice, but with nobody kind of teaching you and guiding you and telling you, what to work on, training without intent. You're just training to hit the ball hard and throw the ball hard. But if there's no purpose or intent behind the training, then it's definitely not going to carry over into games. And as you said, when kids are getting hits and getting to be active and involved, that's where the fun comes in.
Yeah, it's no fun to fly out 3 times and think that you hit the ball well. So that's some of the things that's being taught today that I don't like. And there's been a lot of rule changes that have changed the game for me as well in terms of my opinion about it. You said from 11 to your mid-20s, you had a sore arm, and it was because you were playing a lot and you're throwing and trying to do max effort. At what age did you hurt it to where now it's an injury and I've got to shut it down?
There were a couple times that happened to where I'd have to take a year off, and it was just having a strong arm and getting overused on the mound. I wasn't a pitcher. I'd say I was a thrower. So whether it was, right field or I did put it shortstop when I was younger just because I had a strong arm, but I was not a shortstop. So it happened quite a bit. And I think there were 2 times where I had to take about a year off, and then slowly made a comeback. But when I was in season, my arm was always injured. And then in the summertime, when I wasn't in season, I was throwing less, my velocity would go up. So it was interesting to see kind of, how the workload affected it and the conditioning that the coaches have you do. I mean, all the distance running, first base is 90 feet away. So to do 2-mile runs that are timed and then have a practice after that. I mean, fatigue is a big driver of injury, because the more fatigued your body is, the more your arm's going to try to compensate. And that's when, we accelerate the injury process and bad things happen. So I think that's a big reason why I was having those arm injuries. And we had some coaches, every day long toss. And it's like, well, when do we get to rest our arm? When's the recovery time? Because if we're going out and they want us to throw max effort every day, that's great until things break. And that's what seemed to happen every year.
Yeah, just being overused at a too young of an age before you're fully developed and ready to take that workload is a big part of it. But what made you think of the Kinetic Arm, number one, and the years of research and development to come up with the proper and the most effective use? I'm wearing it now. I use it now. I think it's a device that every kid that plays the game should be wearing to give them support, especially during the taxation of training. Because if you're serious about baseball, you're going to train probably 300 days a year, and you're going to tax your body in that process. But if you can get support in the areas that you most need it, I don't think that I would have an arm issue right now if I was wearing this when I actually did hurt it.
Yeah, the thought process kind of, after I got done playing, I had plenty of arm injuries, and then it was finally a hamstring injury. When I went back to try to play in an independent league, I had my pec ripped off the bone, and I just thought, why did I get hurt running in a straight line? I've been doing this for 20 years. So I dove into some manual muscle testing courses, learned more about the physics of resistance mechanics. And at this time I had the largest independently owned and operated sports performance center in Atlanta called Elite Edge. So I had some of the best athletes in the world, the Charles Barkleys, the Matt Ryans, Garrett Whitlock, Shane Green. A lot of guys would fly in, and I had stroke victims, traumatic brain injuries, but I had more kids coming in with arm pain. And I just thought I'd stepped away from baseball because of listening to what I was told to do, and I was always injured. So now I thought, okay, this is getting worse. Why would we not offload this stress externally? So then learned about how the glove wasn't used until the 1870s. It was kind of standardized by A.G. Spalding, but they called it sissy mittens and said it was unmasculine. Well, that was a compressive force, breaking fingers and hands, but we didn't have a bunch of nerds with iPads sitting around talking about you need to learn how to strengthen your hand and catch the ball better. We just used a little bit of common sense and said, okay, if we can absorb that force, then throwing harder isn't a bad thing. But now we're exceeding what the arm can handle. So my thought process was, why would we not offload that stress externally? So the glove is to offload a compressive force, and the kinetic arm is to offload a distraction force. And we have the distraction forces at the shoulder and elbow. So it took about a year to dial in the stretch recoil, or what's called the modulus of elasticity, because we don't want it to limit range of motion, and we don't want it to be a performance enhancer. But we do want it to offload that stress externally, because we want to keep kids out there, having fun doing what they love.
It is the most valuable commodity in these sports that we're talking about. So you have to protect it. Now there's a way to do it. If I'm a parent and I don't do it, I don't know what the thought process is. So something that's available, readily available to them, the Kinetic Arm can now save arms, whether it's a baseball player, a softball player, anybody that throws above their head. Even basketball. I saw a kid grabbing his shoulder the other day at a basketball game, and I was like, man, check this thing out. You can shoot and it doesn't even restrict you. So that kid probably be looking at Kinetic Arm. But I think with the epidemic of arm injuries that we have in the sports of baseball and softball and many others, this is one of the answers. And I think that you've come up with something that I've never seen, and that now that it's out there, everyone should use. So Jason, I'm so thankful. And I just wish I had this when my kids were playing, because both of them got hurt. And I'm 4,000 innings in with no surgeries, but man, I'm ready for one now. And this thing's going to keep them from cutting me for a little longer, Jason.
Yeah, thank you very much.
He's the founder of the Kinetic Arm, Jason Colleran. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Sandlot Radio Show, and thank you for saving young athletes' arms.
Thanks for having me, Tab.
Thanks again to Jason Colleran, founder of the Kinetic Arm, for being a guest on the Sandlot. Don't go away. When we return, we have a former MLB pitcher from Australia. He was with Atlanta when the Braves were the Braves. Damian Moss. I'm your host, Todd Powers. We're on Fox Sports 1590 KVTA. The Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. The Sandlot is presented by the Kinetic Arm.
This is Clint Barmas, and I'm still listening to The Sandlot.
This is former Major League pitcher Dave Dravecki, and you are listening to The Sandlot.
This is Doug Brokel of the Houston Astros, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
Dusty Baker, manager of the Cincinnati Reds, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
This is Joe Mauer of the Minnesota Twins, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
Imagine this. Your kid throws out their arm. One bad pitch and suddenly it's surgery, months of pain, and watching from the sidelines. There's an epidemic of arm injuries in youth athletes, but it doesn't have to be that way. The Kinetic Arm is the first dynamic arm stabilizer, supporting the shoulder and elbow when they need it most. Trusted by thousands of athletes. Go to SandlotRadioNetwork.com, click Partners, Kinetic Arm, and protect your kid's arm today.
When you run a sports facility, tournament, camp, or recreation business, you need more than insurance. You need coverage built for the game. For over 35 years, Fairway Underwriters has specialized in protecting sports and recreation organizations nationwide, from baseball and softball facilities to camps, leagues, tournaments, golf courses, fitness centers, and special events. Because when the unexpected happens, experience matters. Fairway Underwriters, the name trusted for quality and innovation since 1989. Call 1-800-662-2141 or visit fairwayunderwriters.com today. Fairway Underwriters, protection built for sports. Champ Trove, where every championship becomes a treasure worth keeping. As a leading one-stop provider of custom championship rings, awards, and team packages, Champ Trove helps sports teams, clubs, and schools turn victories into lasting, high-quality memorabilia. We craft fully bespoke rings and team packages tailored to your vision, finished in just 15 days and shipped free. No rigid templates, no hidden fees, just a dedicated designer guiding you from concept to creation. Just go to champtrove.com. For every champion, forever. Champ Trove.
You know, I don't say this lightly. I've been around the game a long time. There's an epidemic of arm injuries in youth athletes. Until now, nothing truly supported how the arm worked while throwing. Meet the Kinetic Arm, the first dynamic stabilizer supporting both shoulder and elbow in motion. Trusted by over 100,000 athletes. Want to protect your player? Click on SandlotRadioNetwork.com partners and order your Kinetic Arm today.
Hey everybody, this is Trevor Hoffman, a Hall of Famer and a San Diego Padre, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
Welcome back to The Sandlot. It's where everybody plays, right here on Fox Sports 1590 KVTA, also streamed live on kvta.com. The Sandlot is presented by the Kinetic Arm. Right now we have Damian Moss from the Gulf Shores Collegiate League and 5-star baseball, former Atlanta Brave and Seattle Mariner. We're with former professional Major League pitcher, a left-hander out of Liverpool, New South Wales, Australia. He was the 5th Australian in the history of baseball to get to the major leagues. So he was before a lot of these guys we see today. And I just want to thank you, Damian, for being a guest on The Sandlot, because I've had almost all the Aussie big leaguers, and you were one on my list that I hadn't had yet.
Thanks for having me, man.
Back in the day, baseball, when you were playing baseball in Australia at the time you were, there was the catalyst of the ABL. It was the new professional baseball league. You were a young man at the time, a kid, and you got to see that league. And was it something that kind of motivated you to want to play the game at a maybe higher level?
I mean, absolutely. I think from day one, man, I fell in love with baseball. I remember the first time my mom told me I was playing t-ball at the time. I was 7. So I came back from, staying with my cousin for a couple of weeks, and she's like, "Here, take this." I'm like, well, "What is this?" She hands me a mitt, just an outfielder's mitt. And I'm like, "What is this?" She's like, you're playing t-ball." I'm like, okay, so I'm playing catch with my cousin. First time he threw it to me, tipped off my glove and hit me in the forehead.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
But the fact that you shook it off and you were ready to get back in there, that showed that you had the grit it takes to play this game right off the bat. Because when we take that first shot, a lot of kids, it turns them away from the game. But if you take that first shot and you're just ready to get back on the saddle, you probably end up being a pretty good player.
It worked out all right.
So, other catalysts. You're a guy that's now loving baseball because you and your soccer buddies decide you're going to play. You end up on this t-ball team. You're getting good at it. You end up making a state team. And baseball, like I said, the ABL, you got guys signing pro contracts. You got a few guys busting into the big leagues. Craig Shipley was a big catalyst for that. Then Nielsen getting there and Lloydie getting there and winning World Series. That was all when you were young. So it gave you the motivation to maybe want to play that sport instead of rugby or cricket.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember, like I said, the reason I started playing baseball was because my soccer coach wanted to keep us together in the summer. That was it, and he played baseball. He was like, "Hey, we're going to play baseball." Whatever. But, I remember growing up, obviously Craig Shipley, idolized him, watched Nielsen play, watched Lloydie play. You know how it is back home in Australia. I mean, I'd read the box scores every day because they were in the newspaper, but, just kind of see what they were doing. But, you get game of the week, like it'd be Sunday at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'd record it. And then when I got home from school that Monday, I'd watch it.
That's pretty cool that you were kind of committed at a pretty young age. If you're making the effort to do stuff like that, you must have had some passion and something really motivated you to get better at it.
I mean, it was one of those things, man, where, like I said, the first time I played catch, got hit in the head, and I fell in love with it right away. I mean, couldn't tell you why. Obviously, baseball's back then wasn't a very big sport in Australia. You tell your buddies at school, "Yeah, I play baseball," and they're like, "What? What is that?" I was kind of the odd man out. I was the weird one.
Well, the weird one gets all the way to the big leagues, and the road to the big leagues is not easy. And it starts by making that first state team. And for a kid that's from Liverpool, there's not a whole lot of great baseball instruction going on out there. So you're playing on instinct and just having fun. But at some point you're good enough to make that state team. And now you go to a tournament where Major League scouts are sitting there. And it's at a time when Glenn Williams had just signed a contract, another catalyst. The fact that he had signed, and at the time, I think it was the most money ever given to an international player. So
he signed for $1 million.
It was a big deal. And it made other organizations open their eyes to the fact that this is a new market for talent. And every club started sending scouts.
Yeah, I remember, Glenn and I played on the same state team together. I give a lot of tribute to Frank Fingelson, to be honest with you, because if I didn't know him, I mean, he was our coach. If I didn't know him, I wouldn't have had the opportunities I got, to be honest with you. It's so political, and like I was a nobody, but I got to play with Glenn. We're actually playing at Auburn. We're playing in a championship game. I think I was playing against him, honestly. And Brave Scout was there. Paul Snyder flew in, and Bill Clark flew in from the U.S. to watch Glenn play. And there was a ball. I was playing right field. There's a ball hit over my head, and I threw the guy out at third base from right field. And they came up to me after the game. Hey, we got to try out tomorrow. I want you to come out. Okay, but if they were there watching Glenn, they weren't there to see me.
That, like I said, sometimes those things pay off, because when a club spends the money to go all the way to Australia, if they see something else that sparks an interest, they're going to dig a little deeper.
It was pretty quick for me. I signed probably a week after Glenn. Ben Udding signed, I think, about 2 weeks later. So we all went to instructional league together. So it was kind of cool to have 3 guys from Australia, with the Braves, go to instructional league. Kind of made it a little bit easier.
You're battling your way through the minor leagues. At what point did you feel like I got a chance to get to the big leagues? Because being in the minor leagues, there's a lot ahead of you. And you're talking about an Atlanta Braves team that had won World Series not that long before you got on in the organization, and they had done it with pitching, and they were amazing at getting guys out, and they did it the way that you're supposed to, by really pitching. Not a whole lot of max out.
It was a grind, man. I had never pitched before I signed with the Braves. I dabbled in it like once or twice a year. Who needs you to throw an inning or two, but nothing real serious. And then my first instructional league, I get there day one. I go to the equipment manager, like, hey man, can I get some bats? And he looks at me like, what? He's like, you need to go see the minor league coordinator. Like, it's the first day. Like, I'm 16, half a world away. You need to go see the minor league coordinator. I'm like, what up, man? I'm in trouble already. So go see the minor league coordinator. He's like, hey man, like, we're gonna try this pitching thing to start off with. If it doesn't work, we'll let you hit. So I'm like, okay, fine. But I'm telling you, man, the first 2 years of pitching, I hated it, because I was used to playing every day, inconsistent. You know how it is in the lower levels, man. Like, you have a good start, bad start, good start, bad start, bad start, bad start, So you're sitting there, and I was a starting pitcher, and like I said, I'm used to playing every day, and you're sucking. You have a bad outing, man. You're sitting there sucking on it for 5 days, and you got all the weight of the world on your shoulders that you're putting on yourself. No one else is putting it on you, but it builds up. But I feel like when I first kind of figured out I had a shot was, like I said, the Braves, they taught me well. Signed with them in 93, 95, like I was in Danville 94. 95, I broke the South Atlantic League record for strikeouts. And I'm like, yeah, I might have a shot here. But pitching with the Braves back then, man, it was rough. Like the word on the street was, if you made it to Double-A with the Braves, you could pitch anywhere else in the big leagues. That's how loaded they were.
And not just loaded, but developing pitching and doing it the old-fashioned way, really teaching pitching and situational pitching and getting movement and locating and changing speeds. That's what they were about, and they did it as good as anyone. He's Damian Moss, played in the big leagues, and 99 at-bats. You finally got a chance, because you're in the National League back in the day when you guys had to hit. Pitchers had to hit.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got 99 career at-bats in the big leagues, dude. That's huge. And
that was fun.
I haven't looked this up, but it might be up there with Aussies in terms of at-bats, even the position players, because a lot of the guys got there and didn't spend a lot of time, so their at-bats were limited. As a matter of fact, Glenn got there. He hit 417 lifetime, but it was a very limited sample size. He didn't get a lot of at-bats. You got more at-bats than Glenn in the big leagues. So that's pretty interesting. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how that first day in the big leagues, what that was like, who did you call, the surreal moments that you experienced, and then some of the guys that you faced. We'll be back with more from Damian Moss when we return to the Sandlot. We are Fox Sports 1590 KVTA, the Ventura Sports Talk Station. I'm your host, Tad Powers. The Sandlot, it's where everybody plays. The Sandlot is presented by the Kinetic Arm. Go to SandlotRadioNetwork.com, the partners page, click on Kinetic Arm, and start protecting your player's future today. We have more from former Major League pitcher Damian Moss when we return to the Sandlot.
Hey, this is Mike Myers, former left-handed pitcher of the Major League Baseball, played 13 years. Everybody out there, listen to the Sandlot, have a great time, enjoy the summer, and keep on swinging for the fences.
Imagine this. Your kid throws out their arm. One bad pitch and suddenly it's surgery, months of pain, and watching from the sidelines. There's an epidemic of arm injuries in youth athletes, but it doesn't have to be that way. The Kinetic Arm is the first dynamic arm stabilizer, supporting the shoulder and elbow when they need it most. Trusted by thousands of athletes. Go to SandlotRadioNetwork.com, click Partners, Kinetic Arm, and protect your kid's arm today.
That sound. It happens every season. The base runner hesitates, a bad slide, a twisted ankle. The truth is, most kids are never actually taught how to slide safely. Slide MVP changes that. It's the portable sliding mat designed to teach proper feet-first technique so players build confidence before game day. No guesswork, no fear, just confidence when it counts. Train at home, train at practice, train the right way. Visit the SandlotRadioNetwork.com partners page for SlideMVP.com. Slide MVP, because one bad slide shouldn't change everything. Looking to stand out? At Max Graphics LA, they bring your ideas to life. From custom screen printing and high-quality embroidery to eye-catching signs and banners, they do it all. Outfit your team, promote your business, or create one-of-a-kind personal gear. Whether it's company uniforms, sports league fan swag, or custom designs for any occasion, we've got you covered. Fast, reliable, and made just the way you want it. Call 310-350-3394 or visit maxgraphicsla.com today. Max Graphics LA, where your brand gets noticed. You know, I don't say this lightly. I've been around the game a long time. There's an epidemic of arm injuries in youth athletes. Until now, nothing truly supported how the arm worked while throwing. Meet the Kinetic Arm, the first dynamic stabilizer supporting both shoulder and elbow in motion. Trusted by over 100,000 athletes. Want to protect your player? Click on SandlotRadioNetwork.com partners and order your Kinetic Arm today.
It was pretty much decided for me to play baseball when I was born.
The Sandlot's where it all starts, doesn't it?
I wasn't bigger than everybody. I just threw harder.
It doesn't take any talent to hustle.
If you don't pull for the Dodgers, there's a good chance you may not get into heaven.
Something happening here.
Welcome back to the Sandlot right here on Fox Sports 1590 KVTA. I'm your host, Tad Powers. The Sandlot is presented by the most trusted protector of arms in the industry, the Kinetic Arm. Right now we have more from 5 stars, Damian Moss. Damian, thanks for sticking around for a second segment on the Sandlot.
Absolutely.
So we get to the big leagues. 2001, you make your debut. Who did you call? And what was it like for the family? And what was it like for you? Because, man, we're talking about Atlanta Braves. And you're an Aussie, and there hadn't been too many of them to the big leagues yet. Only 4. So this is strange.
It was weird, man, because I was having a good year in AAA. We had an off day. So me and my wife at the time, we went grocery shopping, got back to the apartment, and my manager calls me. It's like, back then, it was kind of weird for your manager to be calling you. So he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, just got back from the grocery store. He's like, make sure you pack your stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you going to Arizona tomorrow? I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you're going to the big leagues. I was like, it took me a minute for it to kind of sink in. I love watching those stories, especially today. We have kids with 5-star that are making their, they're making their way to the big leagues now. And I love seeing those stories too. I mean, it gives me chills every time I see it. But, the first people, I think my wife at the time called her family because they were in Georgia. I called my mom. Obviously, she was in Australia. She couldn't make it. But, it was interesting, man. Like, it was a whirlwind. It was a lot going on at once. I don't think I got any sleep that night either.
So when you walk on the field, it's pregame because we get there early and there's a lot going on for a long time before that first game. What was that like? Just walking out? It's like a cathedral.
Especially at the time, first, like I said, my first outing was in Arizona, but you walk in there and, just seeing a big league stadium. That was the year the D-backs won the World Series, so they were really good.
Now, off air, we talked about being welcomed to the big leagues in your first appearance. And that's a pretty cool story because now we got to recover from that. So tell me what that was like because you came in a situation that's not very, for your first time, bases loaded, it's probably not the way you want to come into the game, but walk me through that.
Yeah, I mean, especially, being a starter my whole career, and then get to the big leagues and, you're in the bullpen. Like I said, didn't get in much sleep the night before, traveling all day, getting to the field, adrenaline through the roof. Phone, you know how it is when the phone rings in the bullpen. You're like, oh crap, is it me? And so Maddox was pitching. Like I said, that was the year the D-backs won the World Series. That was loaded. Maddox got roughed up a little bit. He gave up tied the month of April for home runs off Luis Gonzalez early in the game. Then Matt Whiteside came in after him. He got in some trouble, and then the phone rings and says, hey, get Mossy up. So I come in, it's bases loaded. I'm like, this ain't fun. So
and wait a
first
minute.
guy I'm facing, Luis.
Those are Greg Maddox's runners?
Matt Whiteside's.
Okay, Whiteside's got 3 guys on base, and you're responsible for those runners.
Oh, yeah. So, come in there. Luis Gonzalez, like I said, early in the game, had tied the home run record for April off Maddox. Ball 1, ball 2. Next pitch, I throw try and sneak a fastball in. It leaks, middle. And I don't think that thing's landed yet. I mean, he hit that thing like 500 feet, man. And that place was so loud. I mean, so he broke the home run record off of me. He's getting a standing ovation for breaking the record in April.
So you end up getting timed a couple of years with Atlanta, and then also with San Francisco Giants and Baltimore Orioles, and eventually Tampa Bay Rays. But, man, you stuck around for a long time, 17 years of professional baseball. Went to Puerto Rico in the winter. And when you stick around that long time, you end up on a lot of teams, a lot of uniforms, a lot of teammates, and it ends up snowballing to other stuff for you, because now the path that you took to the big leagues, which was probably one of the hardest ones, being a 16-year-old Ozzy when you signed, you get to share with kids that are on their way or wanting to be on their way what that path's like and give them some guidance in what you're doing now. Let's talk about that with Gulf Shores and with 5 Star.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where, we talked about it off air. I retired. I played 17 years, retired in 2010. And Andy Boris, who owns 5 Star National, he called me and was like, hey, man, come do, at the time we were a chain. He's like, why don't you come be a part of this? And I was like, man, nah. I was like, I'm done with baseball, done. And he's like, all right. So he kind of gave me a little bit more time. Called me about a year later. He's like, hey, man, still want you to come be a part of what we're doing. And I was like, fine. So started working with, at the time it was Chain. We changed to 5 Star. And doing this high school showcase stuff. It's, we probably, I would say, the largest organization in the country. We're all over the country. We're actually in Australia now. But, I coach the one, like our one teams, our Jupiter teams. And the cool part is, you get to work with these kids. You get to invest in these kids. But the other cool part is, the big events we play in, man, the guys you played against, in pro ball, like there's a lot of guys that are doing it, and there's guys I haven't seen for years. And so, oh man, dang, you doing this too? It's really cool.
Well, it's what we know best, and being able to guide kids and help them in their road, because again, no matter what, it's one of the hardest things to do in any sport is to be able to get to the major leagues. Even signing a pro contract, even being a D1 player, you have surpassed a lot of guys that are trying to do the same thing.
Right. I mean, I sit there and, tell people all the time, it's not something, when they ask me, it's like, the crazy part is the game's been around for over 150 years, and there's only like 23,000 people who ever played in the big leagues. That's, when you sit there and you kind of put that in perspective, that's just nuts, in my opinion. That's what I love about what we do now. Like, we've got guys now that are in the big leagues, Sal Stewart, Jackson Merrill, Reese Hines, Reese Olson. We got about 6 or 7 guys that came up through our program that are now in the big leagues. And to get to see them have success, that's way better than anything I did.
I know in the summertime when I was in college, I played in a summer league, but it was nothing like what you guys are offering now there at Gulf Shores. I mean, you have access to the Atlanta Braves Spring Training Complex, number one. You're in Sarasota. So it's a lifestyle that kids that are trying to get to the big leagues, they need to understand that development that happens in those settings, in that heat, when a lot of kids are playing in parts of the country where they don't have to deal with a lot of those things. But the environment that you're set up for those kids is unbelievable.
I mean, I'm proud of what we do down there. Couldn't do it without the Braves, especially. They roll out the red carpet for us.
The fact that you're sharing the complex with pro players from the Braves, and those kids get to see their daily routine, get to see the athleticism that they have, the size of the bodies, it gives them a good idea that if I want to be there, I need to do and look like that.
Yeah, I mean, and the other cool thing is, guys, when they're rehabbing from the big leagues, they go down there, so obviously Profile was down there last year. Acuna was down there a couple years ago. So they get to see these guys and what they're working on, what their daily routine is and all that stuff. And hey, this is what it takes to get to the big leagues, and this is at the lowest level. This isn't, single A, double A, triple A. This is at the lowest level. And this is the dedication and the work it takes at the lower levels, Another cool thing that the Braves do for us, man, which I think is unbelievable, and the kids love it, is, we get to play our All-Star game in the big league stadium down there. That's a no-no.
He's Damian Moss. He's a veteran of 17 professional baseball seasons. Now he's the national pitching coordinator for 5-Star and also the owner of the Gulf Shores League down in Florida, which is a great collegiate league for summer for the kids. And I got to tell you, I didn't have those opportunities when I was that age. And the fact that you guys can give those opportunities is a really big deal.
I think it is, man. Like I said, the biggest thing for me is, because all these guys, you know how it is, man. Like, you play high school ball, you want to play college. You play college, you want to play pro ball. It's just the way it works. Are all these guys going to play pro ball? No, but I feel like I think we've had like 8 or 10 guys, get drafted out of our league. Like Peyton Glavin was one of them. We had a few guys. That was because of my relationship with Tom. Like, his son came down there and pitched in my league, and it's one of those things where, we tell the kids, hey man, not all of you are going to play pro baseball, but if you put in the work, someone's going to see you.
The 5th Aussie ever to get to the big leagues, Damian Moss. I want to thank you so much for being a guest on the Sandlot.
I appreciate you having me, Ted.
Thanks for listening to just the 3rd Sandlot Radio Network program of the 2026 baseball season. We look forward to continuing to bring you the unique childhood stories from the biggest names in baseball, including current, former, and future major league players, coaches, scouts, front office personnel, and even media as they reflect on their road to the big leagues. You can catch replays of this year's and past seasons' episodes of the Sandlot Radio Show on the Sandlot Radio Show SoundCloud page. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Sandlot Radio Network for video content with the major league players. We also have links to our YouTube, Spotify, and SiriusXM MLB network. Please explore the SandlotRadioNetwork.com website to check out reels and images from our long history of covering everything from the Sandlot to the big leagues. If you're interested in advertising your business on the Sandlot Radio Show, give us a call at 303-350-0655 or send us a message through the website, SandlotRadioNetwork.com. I'd like to thank all of our guests on today's show, our special guest host, Ryan Spilborgs, for Who's Hot and Who's Not in MLB. And we had the founder of the Kinetic Arm, Jason Colleran, and former MLB pitcher, now helping kids on their path to the big leagues, Australian-born Damian Moss. Be sure to tune in every Saturday at 8 a.m. on Fox Sports 1590 KVTA, also streamed live on kvta.com. The Sandlot has been presented by the most trusted leader for athletes' arm protection, the Kinetic Arm. To purchase and start protecting your athlete today, go to SandlotRadioNetwork.com, click on the Kinetic Arm on our partners page. The Sandlot is also sponsored by Slide MVP, Champ Trove, Tool Shed, South Bay Credit Union, Fairway Underwriters, Max Graphics LA, and Pro Slide. The Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. It's a place of our own. It's our field. It's our neighborhood. It's our team. It's our home. I'm your host, Tad Powers.
Damn it! Who typed a question mark on the teleprompter? For the last time, anything you put on that prompter, Burgundy will read.
This is National League All-Star Justin Upton.
Hi, this is Shane Victorino.
Hi, this is Albert Pujols.
Hi, this is David Wright.
Derek Jeter, New York Yankees, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
Is this heaven?
It's Iowa. Is there a heaven?
Oh, yeah. It's the place dreams come true.
Hey, Dad? You want to have a catch?
I'd like that.
Imagine this. Your kid throws out their arm. One bad pitch and suddenly it's surgery, months of pain, and watching from the sidelines. There's an epidemic of arm injuries in youth athletes, but it doesn't have to be that way. The Kinetic Arm is the first dynamic arm stabilizer, supporting the shoulder and elbow when they need it most. Trusted by thousands of athletes. Go to SandlotRadioNetwork.com, click Partners, Kinetic Arm, and protect your kid's arm today.
With so many banking options out there, why choose South Bay Credit Union? As a nonprofit credit union, they're here to serve you, not shareholders. That means they're able to provide better rates, fewer fees, and more valuable benefits to empower their members to live better and do better. You want to master your money? South Bay Credit Union puts you in control of your money with everyday banking solutions. From checking accounts to home mortgages, credit cards to auto loans, their members have access to the tools they need to achieve their financial goals now and in the future.
Whether you're in the batter's box or grinding through a 12-hour shift, your gear matters from the inside out. Introducing Toolshed Premier Compression Underwear. Toolshed is designed for the athlete and worker who demand comfort and durability. Moisture-wicking technology, aero cooling mesh, and a fit that stays put. No chafing, no riding up, just pure performance. Upgrade your base layer today at toolshedusa.com. Use code SandlotRadio10 for 10% off. Toolshed, made in America.
The difference between safe and out is inches. And the difference between hesitation and going all out? Confidence. But confidence disappears fast when you're worried about cuts and scrapes. Introducing Pro Slide. Padded compression sleeves for legs and arms, protecting knees, shins, and elbows so you can play all out. Stay in the game with Pro Slide. Get yours today by visiting the SandlotRadioNetwork.com website. Visit Partners, then Pro Slide. Pro Slide Sports. Play hard. Stay protected. You know, I don't say this lightly. I've been around the game a long time. There's an epidemic of arm injuries in youth athletes. Until now, nothing truly supported how the arm worked while throwing. Meet the Kinetic Arm, the first dynamic stabilizer supporting both shoulder and elbow in motion. Trusted by over 100,000 athletes. Want to protect your player? Click on SandlotRadioNetwork.com Partners and order your Kinetic Arm today.